Well, it ended up being a pretty good day. Got my wife. I made it just in time. So we raced at 7:25. I arrived at 6:45, 6:49, whatever. Obviously, Blue Bayou deal. 1, she's not as good as Kemp. She's a good filly, but she's not as good as Kemp. 2, she wasn't awesome tonight. I knew going behind the gate she wasn't super. She just seemed a little tense. It's so darn hot. It's still 30 degrees, and it's 8:30 at night. So I think that played a role. We scoped her to make sure after the scope was clean, which is I wasn't surprised with. We'll take her blood tomorrow, and I think you're probably going to see a little higher than normal dehydration maybe for the filly. Every horse a little bit different. Kemp had was the same, and raced well. Now Kemp touched himself. Yeah, full flip-flops, and both the corks on his front shoes are worn off, both of them. So a good mile from Kemp. You may have heard me talking to Amy about Kemp touched himself. I'm pretty sure I know why. With the track deep like that, you got to have we'll use the cutout flip-flops, especially since I've been told, I'll double check with Jason Robinson, but I believe I was told the track was deep in Kentucky, so it's deep. So here, Unbeatable Kemp has a shoe and a full flip-flop, so a full piece of rubber on the back part of his hoof. Now, what I mean by cut out is what they'll do is they'll cut the rubber away from the middle of the foot, so there's just this rubber ridge at the back, which allows for a little more traction. Plus, at the toe of the shoe, 2 little corks that were a little bit old were on them tonight. Sharpen those corks up and then put a bead of what's called borium, which what they make corks with, a bead of borium right in between those 2 corks. Or if you want, you can put a 3rd cork in the middle. But one or the other will need to be done to go to Kentucky. Now, was the filly slipping tonight? She just has full swedges on, no grab. You could talk me into that, but just the way she was acting, I knew she just wasn't on top of her game. If she is on top of her game, she can compete in there. If she's not, she can't, which begs the question, why'd you move her? I think you guys know why I moved her. We had another soldier. I knew exactly where James was on the track at the quarter pole. And I know Kemp, he's not the same horse he was. He probably could have come first over and still won, but I wasn't leaving anything to chance. I knew the horse in the 2-hole was done. I thought if I got Dio out and moving, maybe she'd grind up in. I was pretty certain James was going to win the race. It looked like Dougie's horse was spent. Nothing from the backfield. I knew Phil's horse could trot home. Man, he really got home. It just seemed to me that James was a winner, and I moved her in the turn thinking that I'd just, maybe get up and get a bone. And she tired halfway down the lane, which was odd because the hobbles felt tight, and we've been letting them out, which is a good sign. But I have to ask, why do they feel tight tonight? Same hobbles, same bike as last week. It's weird. Maybe she was slipping. Maybe that's what I was feeling. I don't know. But we'll take her blood tomorrow. I don't think there's anything serious going on. She seemed in good spirits, and as far as coming first over and then getting beat up down the lane, listen. Good horses always bounce back, and she is a good horse. You can be sure of that. Blue Bayou Dio will come out swinging in Kentucky. Now, the only question remains, who are we going to race against in Kentucky? I have no idea who's going to show up. There may be some killers show up. I don't know. We'll know when we get there. So, Blue Bayou Dio and Unbeatable Kemp now heading to Kentucky. What a race from Slim Jimmy. First over and trounced them. Not just that he won. You guys have to pay attention too. The horse that was second, trotted in 52 last week in the Meadowlands, was a New Jersey Cyrus filly of Chris Beavers and was 3-2 favorite. Jimmy came first over and disposed of the leader pretty quickly, and then trotted away to victory and looked fantastic. One thing I did forget this morning was, you guys were asking, why'd we scratch horses this morning? I said it was too hot, right? Magical Tom was scratched. Columbus was scratched. And What a Mission was scratched. Now, a couple of key updates here. Magical Tom trained good. 2 minutes and 4/5, 2-1 last half, 59 apiece. Was very good. Columbus followed me. He's a little bit behind Columbus. I think he's a little immature mentally, a little immature physically. I think he's going to come on, but he's not quite to where Tom is. And quite frankly, I trained What a Mission in 59 by himself this morning. By himself at Northfield Park. He was all business. Last half 59, last quarter in 29 seconds. He looked good. So a couple of big updates there. Our horses are ready to go. Now, another great question came in today from somebody that said, Anthony, why would you go Sister Solange and not go with the Ohio bred. So most importantly is, in Ontario now, if you make a break in a qualifier, off a qualifier, you can still race if you have a flat line in 30 days. You can't make 2 breaks in a row, but 1 they'll forgive. I love that rule because it takes a lot of pressure off the trainers and the drivers, and it really allows you to race your horse rather than being super protective their first start. Ohio doesn't have that rule yet. I assume it will come. I think it's a smart thing to do. I can't think of any arguments not to have, and I'm a proponent of not having to qualify at all. If you have a flat line in 60 days, I don't care how many breaks you have. If you have a flat line in 60 days, you should be able to race. And I'm not so sure I just wouldn't stretch that flat line rule out. Because, as handicappers, especially now, you have to assume that horses come prepared to race. How many times have you guys seen our horses race off 30 days, off 45, off 60, and they just come right out swinging? Because when we bring our horses to the track, they are ready to go. They've been to the schoolers, they've trained, they're tight, and they're ready to compete. And I think most trainers do that. And you don't really know anyway. Would you rather know that we have our horses tight and ready to go going in 60 days, or that another trainer may not? Maybe it's a habit where one guy, the horses just don't always seem ready to go. It seems like a handicapping angle. And when you just come blatantly on like when you come blindly on TV and say, oh, well, this horse hasn't raced in 60 days, there has to be some context to that, right? And as far as the qualifying days, I wish you just pushed them right away. Our horses come ready to go, and I suspect most people's do. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's a talk for another time. The question at hand was, why didn't you go with the Ohio breds? Because if they had made a break today, they're now unqualified. Now they can't race. They can race in the Sire Stakes, but they can't race in the races next week at Northfield. They can't race in any overnights, whereas Pennsylvania has the same rule as Ontario. If Sister Solange made a break today, she could still race next week in Pennsylvania. So, and that brings up another point. As I said, Pennsylvania next week, I think you're going to see Austral Hanover race next Friday. You're going to see Fashion Presidente race next Friday. You're going to see Sister Solange and who's the other PA filly? Sister Solange, this is bugging me. Leaps and Bounds, Amy's filly. Leaps and Bounds and Sister Solange are going to race next Thursday in Pennsylvania. So a lot going on. A lot went on tonight. We'll get to the track really quick. Obviously, I came first over, knowing that she wasn't 100%, but I knew who was right on my bumper. We wanted to make sure our horse, at least one of us, got to the winner's circle. I'm not worried about Blue Bayou Dio. She's going to bounce back. She always does, and she is tough. And she was in good spirits when we left the paddock. And then Arches Rainbow. I'm not going to butcher my horse from post 10. I knew that there were some horses in there that were going to go along pretty good. I left leaving the gate, and a bunch of them were going out of there. At that point, the race is over. I can't come from 10th and trot in 57, let alone 55. She did all she could. I think all that tonight did was to solidify the fact that maybe she doesn't belong here right now. We'll probably race her in the Prospect, in the Grassroots, in the wherever Harry wants to, and then onwards a 1, onwards a 2, and then give her some time. And this will be one of our horses for the fall. I know there's going to be a lot of people look at the lineup for the horses we're selling on Monday and say, why? Why does Stonebridge Simba get put in the sale, but Arches Rainbow doesn't? It's a very fair question. The reason being, we know what Stonebridge Simba can do. We know what he can't do. We know where he is. We know where he is not. Arches Rainbow fits an onwards a 1, an onwards a 2. And if I don't like what I see at that point, we can put her in a condition claimer. She still goes for $27,000 or almost $30,000. There's a ton of paths forward for Arches Rainbow in regards to a horse like Always Charming, who I've decided is going in the sale on Monday. I'm always going to stick up for horses that fight to do their work. Arches Rainbow's a fighter. She's proved that from day one, and it appears Always Charming is not. So I hope that it's the most blunt way to put it, I suppose. Anyway, a great day today. Slim Jimmy was awesome. Unbeatable Kemp was awesome. Blue Bayou Dio did what she could. She'll bounce back. Arches Rainbow just can't trot 55 and doesn't really belong at Mohawk any longer. Do we have another horse race anywhere? We have a couple still coming up. We have Massive Profit at 9:25, and then Mario's horse, Renegade Gypsy, at 10 o'clock. So, still 2 horses to go, so good luck to those groups. Hope you guys had a good day. I did have a good day. It was a nice drive home. I got a lot done. Wish I got more done on the track, but that's racing. Anyway, Lots going on tomorrow. We do have 4 scratches tomorrow. Brace for Landing scratched. He's racing. These horses are racing on Monday. Brace for Landing, Nothing But a Dreamer scratched. Enzo Aguel and Carter Michael Deal scratched. Those 4 horses are going to race on Monday. For those of you paying really close attention, Nothing But a Dreamer will race Monday with no hobbles. Carter Michael Deal will race Monday with no hobbles. The other 2 will have one. So with that, we'll talk to you all very soon. Take care. Great night.